Welcome back to Regular Guys Outdoors. I'm Chris, and today is a review of the Yi 4K action camera. Now, my review is going to lean towards hunting because that's what I'm going to use it for, but if that's not your thing, but this is, stick around. I'll show you how to do that. The reason why I went with the Yi 4K was because of price point and the features it has at that price point. It's very comparable to the GoPro Hero 5, and as we all know, GoPro has the market on action cameras, and rightly so. They do it very well. So those features that I was looking for are frame rate, the field of view choices, the electronic image stabilization, and the lens distortion correction. But before we get into that, let's see what's in the box. This particular one is the model that has the waterproof case kit, and it came with a 32 gigabyte micro SD card, which is important because they also sell one that doesn't have the case or the card, so you got to look at what those cost to add them in later. So we've got the various manuals, we've got the waterproof case itself, the mount for it, and all these mounts for these cases are GoPro mounts, so they're very easy to find, very common. You got the cable here that you use for charging, and you can also download from the camera to your computer with it. And here is the camera. This is very nice packaging, by the way. Very professional looking, very Apple product like, very stout packaging. So here's our Yi 4K. Very little. It is actually quite sturdy feeling, although it's obviously not rugged in this configuration. Mine will almost always be in a case so that I can protect the lens as I'm walking around hunting and whatnot. So I'd rather scratch this up and replace this than scratch this up and replace that. So a cool feature that this does have is it has threads for your standard camera mount tripod. So you can put it right on top of a tripod, screw it right in, no problem, and all the other various mounts of all the different kinds. But the standard thread is awesome. Frame rate allows you to do slow motion without being too blurry or choppy. So on this, those two modes are 1080 with the wide field of view at 120 frames per second instead of your normal 30 frames per second. That gives you the ability to slow it down around 20% and even 10% for a nice slow-mo. Now this also does 720 HD resolution at 240 frames per second. Let me give you an example of each shooting my shotgun. Right here's my shotgun at 1080 HD, 20%. This is the same clip at 10% speed. That's 10% speed. Now here we're going to do 720 HD with 240 frames per second, and this is going to be at 7% speed. Now, like I said before, if that doesn't throw you, you do the same thing with action shots like this. Here's 1080 HD, 120 frames per second at 20%. Here's 720 HD at 240 frames per second slowed down to 7%. That's pretty awesome, right? Alright, so the other feature was field of view. Original GoPros only had wide field of view. The newer ones, you can go ultra wide, wide, medium, narrow, and even linear. So that's part of my reason for liking this, is I can change field of view from wide to medium in 2.7K, or I can go wide, medium, or narrow in 1080 HD at 60 frames. Now, the reason I want that is a lot of times when you're on that real big fisheye, something that's only 20-30 yards away looks like it's way over there just because of the way that fisheye field of view is. So hopefully this will kind of narrow that down a little bit and bring those objects in a little bit closer. Now the other thing I'm going to look at with the 4K and 2.7K is the ability to bring those objects closer in editing. So 4K, in theory, I should be able to bring that in 300 to 400% and still have it look like 1080 HD. So we'll see which works better. Narrow field of view on 1080, or bringing it in editing software 300 or 400% while filming in 4K. So that will yet to be seen. Alright, so field of view, here we are. 4K, that deer target's 40 yards. On 4K you get the wide field of view. Here we are, 2.7K, wide field of view up top, medium in the middle, and on 1080 narrow. Alright, so here's 4K, wide field of view at 100%. Editing into 200%, and edit into 300%. Resolution's not bad for digitally altering at 300%. The other thing we're looking at, electronic image stabilization. If I've got this thing mounted on my head, or I've got it mounted on my gun, or even chest mounted, when you're walking, the footage gets all bumpy, shaky. If you got it on your gun and you're aiming, maybe you're a little bit shaky there. The electronic image stabilization will take that out for you. Now here's what it looks like with it on and off when you're going to use it more like a traditional, like on a selfie stick or something like that. Alright, 4K does not use the electronic image stabilization, but the 2.7 does. So I'm on 2.7, 60 frames, and we're going to walk image stabilizer off, kind of in selfie mode, wide angle, and we'll flip it around. Alright, let's go repeat that on EIS. Alright, so we're going to repeat that again. 2.7K, 60 frames, wide, EIS is on, kind of selfie mode, and out here walking. So that's a pretty neat feature right there. Now it's not optical image stabilization, but at this price point, I'm not complaining. The other feature was lens distortion correction. With this camera, in the camera, you can turn that fisheye off mostly. So instead of having to try to figure out how to mess with that in editing software, the camera will do that for you and take it off if you want. It reduces your field of view a little bit. So if you're on wide, instead of looking about like this, you're going to look about like this. If you're in medium, instead of looking like this, you're going to look like this. It's not much as far as field of view, so let's check out some of that. So here we are. Lens distortion correction is off on top and on the bottom. Note the stegosaurus on the left. I think that's a stegosaurus. Here it's mounted on my head, 2.7K, medium field of view, lens distortion correction is on, electronic image stabilization is on. Another cool feature that this Yi camera has is the LCD screen on the back. So not only can you line up your shots with that LCD screen, all your settings and functions are done on the back of the LCD screen. This one is very user friendly. Settings, scroll, select resolution, scroll that menu, choose your frames, back out. That's that easy. Another cool thing is that via Wi-Fi it will connect to your phone, and now your phone can do everything you can do on the LCD screen you can do with your phone. So let's say you mount it on your head. Well, on your phone is now showing you what you're looking at. So now I'm doing a selfie of myself on the, see? And you can change all the functions right here off of your phone. You start, stop, record, change your resolutions, change your white balance, you change everything the same way you would on the LCD screen. The practical application of that Wi-Fi is if you've got this on your head, you've got it mounted in the tree, you can see and start it without having to reach up. You can see and make sure that it's looking at what you want it to look at, especially in hunting situations. You can verify everything off your phone. You can have your phone discreetly in front of you, because you know we're all on our phone anyway in the tree stand if we have reception, right? A neat feature that this also has is it has an auto function for how you orient the screen on here. So for example, if I were to mount this on top of my crossbow like such, the screen and the image will come out right side up. If I mount it to my shotgun barrel and I turn it upside down and I mount it underneath, the footage is still going to be right side up. Now most GoPros that I know of, you can set that function to be right side up or right side down depending on how you're going to orient it, but this will do it automatically if you put it on auto. You can turn it on, you can turn it off, but kind of neat. Not that big of a deal because you kind of know whether you're going to hang it off your shotgun or put it on your crossbow well in advance so you could set it, but it's kind of a neat function. Yep, I already got this ready to go, camoed up, try to keep it from being shiny. Head mount done up. I do up my tripods. That camera's done up. I use this stuff here, thin skin. I'll put a link below. And what it is we're getting off track here a little bit, but it's sheets and you cut them to size and peel and stick. My 20 gauge has had some on for 3 years. I'll show you that here. This has been on the forearm for 3 years. It's been rained on, it's been oiled, it's been back here. I've had to scrape this off so that the military police on post can verify its registration. But this has been on there for 3 years, so doing a pretty good job for me. Alright, so I got carried away a little bit on that camo part. But how do I like this Yi 4K? Well, it's got the features, functions, video resolution, and it just plain performs much better than I thought it would at this price point. And what's this price point? Under $200.
The Yi 4K Plus gives you more features, but it's about $100 more. And this is kind of doing everything I need it to. Are there things I don't like? Yes. The biggest one is I wish that I could turn the LCD screen off, but then you can't tell what the function is or what you're doing. But it will go blackout if you set the LCD screen to turn off after 30 seconds. So my plan for that while I'm hunting is, say I'm in a tree stand, it's at night. I got 10 minutes before sunset, which is usually, about 40 minutes before legal light. I could just turn this on, hit record, and in 30 seconds the light will go out, and as it starts getting dark, I won't have that light radiating off of the camera. So that's going to be my simple workaround. In the morning, simply turn it on a few minutes before legal light, keep it covered for 30 seconds until the screen goes out, and now it's recording. That way you don't have to mess with it right at those prime time hours, and then turn it off and clear your card, recharge your batteries and whatnot after you get out of the stand. Oh, another alibi again. Battery life. The more functions you're using, the faster this battery goes. So if you're hooked up Wi-Fi to your phone, lens distortion correction on, electronic image stabilization on, and you're on 2.7K at 60 frames, it's burning a lot of battery, so don't expect it to last an hour and a half with those functions on. However, if you got Wi-Fi off, lens distortion off, stabilization off, and you're at 1080 doing 60 frames, you probably get 90 minutes, maybe more. The manual says more, but just know that the more you're doing with the camera, the more battery it's burning, and also the more space it's burning on your SD card. So if you've only got about a 16 gig SD card or maybe an 8, you're putting 4K or 2.7K video on it, it's going to fill up really quick.
You know, my intent with this camera isn't, it's not going to be the only camera I bring out somewhere when I'm going hunting and I'm trying to film it. It's going to be a backup camera, because having it on here in 4K is better than missing the action altogether. Although I did a shotgun review using only this Yi of my Mossberg 930 I just bought. So check that out. Long-term durability is yet to be seen, but I'm always going to use mine in a protective case, waterproof protective case. So I'm going to put a link below to the Yi, and I'll put a link below also to that camo thin skin, as well as a bundle of things, of different mounts, and where this one, the extra one of these comes in, and some extra, a head mount, chest mount, a mount that you can mount to a barrel or a scope. And so that's a pretty good bargain for the money there. It's about 35 bucks, I think. Now the idea with those links is, if you use those links to purchase something, RGO here will get a small commission. And the idea is, if we can get a little bit of money going on that, we'd like to buy some items, use them, review them, and then give them to one of our subscribers. So if any of this stuff floats your boat, then please use our link and help us do that. So as we wrap stuff up here, I did that Mossberg 930 review, like I said, entirely with the Yi. We're going to put that up right here. Here's another action camera review here, and give us a subscribe. Thanks for watching.